Hey guys, it's Phoenix, and in today's video I'll be giving a very basic guide for playing Mahjong on Mahjong Soul. FYI, I am still a beginner, and I'm making this video because I introduced this game to a few friends and I tried my best to teach them the basics. However, they still had questions throughout the game and I was all over the place with my explanation. Hopefully this will help me be a bit more organized while explaining. Also, if you're an experienced Mahjong player who somehow stumbled on this video, let me know if there's anything I got completely wrong or needs more detail, or if I forgot anything you think beginners should know. Write in the comments. That way new players who come here can read those too. Again, this is for an online game, so there won't be things like setup or anything that the game already automates. So let's do this. Okay, first we'll start with the tiles. The first set of tiles we're going to talk about are numbered tiles. There are 3 of them, going from 1 to 9 and suited. The suits are called Man, Pin, and So. Me and my friends like to call them characters, dots, and bamboo or sticks, just for simplicity's sake, and also when new players come and play with us, they're not confused what we're talking about. One thing to note about these is that the 1 and 9 in every suit are terminals. This is important, but I'll explain that later. Next are the wind tiles. They represent the 4 cardinal directions, north, east, south, west. And finally, the dragon tiles. They represent the 3 colors, red, white, and green. Now that we've covered the tiles, let's look at what you can do with them. When the game starts, everyone will have 13 tiles. One by one, players will draw and discard tiles trying to create a winning hand. To create a winning hand, players must have a pair of identical tiles and 4 sets of 3 tile combinations known as a sequence and a triplet. A sequence are 3 tiles that go in numerical order, and a triplet are 3 identical tiles. Now for those of you who like to do a little bit of math, you probably noticed that those numbers add up to 14 tiles. You will be drawing your 14th tile, however it's only in play when you are calling your winning hand. If not, you will be discarding it or another tile in your hand. But they are part of the easier hands that beginners can get. To build your hand, you draw tiles and keep what you need. Or you can take other players' most recent discards on their turn. There are 2 ways to do this. You either need to call Chi or Pon. Chi is called when you complete a sequence with a discard from the player to your immediate left. Pon is called when you complete a triplet. This can be done with any player when they discard a tile. Note that by calling Pon, it will reset the turn order with you. This means that if you pawn a tile, the player to your right will have to go next. One thing about these calls is when you first start the game, your hands will be closed, meaning you are not showing any of your tiles. When you do any of these calls, you will have to show the set you've made, and your hand is now considered open. Also, the sets that you've complete with these calls are put off to the side and you can no longer play with them. You have basically committed to using these tiles towards your winning hand. This can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the situation. There is one more call, but it is a little bit more complicated. It's called Kan. Kan is called when you already have a triplet and you want to add a 4th tile to it. A Kan is considered triplet for the most part, and there are 3 ways to call Kan. The first way is when you already have a triplet in your hand and another player discards the 4th tile. You can call Kan and take that tile. This will make your hand open if it was initially closed. Second is when you draw the 4th tile and you already have the triplet from a pawn. You can call Kan and add it to that set. Third is when you draw the 4th tile and the other 3 are in your hand. You can call Kan to create a set, and this will create what is known as a closed Kan, meaning your hand will remain closed if it was closed initially. There is one more thing that you need to create a winning hand, and that is a Yaku. A Yaku is something that adds a value to your hand. The more Yaku you have, the more points you get. Also, the more difficult the Yaku, the more points they are worth. Here are some of the more basic Yaku for the beginners. All simple, a very basic Yaku. All you need for this Yaku is to create a pair and 4 set without using any winds, dragons, or terminals. Dragons. To get this Yaku, all you need is a set of triplet of any dragon. The rest of your hand can be a pair and 4 set of any tile. Seat-wind. Now to get this Yaku, you need to get a triplet of the wind that you are seated at. If you look above and to the left of your discard pile, you'll see one of the wind letters. This is your seat-wind. This will change every round, so pay attention when going for this Yaku. The rest of your hand can use the pair and 4 set of any tile. Prevalent wind. very similar to seat wind, except you're using the table wind, which you can find at the very center between the scores. Once you get a triplet of that, the rest of your hand can be a pair and force set. Fully concealed hand. To get this, you need to create your hands while keeping your hand closed. Any pair and force set combination will do here. There are way more Yaku of varying values, but these are the easiest to achieve, so don't worry too much about learning the others until you've played the game a little more. Besides, you can actually get more valuable Yakus by accident while trying to build off of the Yakus that I've just explained. There are other ways to get points other than Yakus, and one of them is called a Dora. A Dora is basically having a specific tiles in your hand. Remember, these don't count as Yaku, so if you have Doras but no Yaku, you're not going to be able to call for a winning hand. At the top left of your screen, there's going to be a set of tiles with one faced up. This is called the dead wall, and the tile shown is an indicator that indicates the next tile in the sequence is the Dora. So for the number tiles, it's going to be the next number after the tile that is shown of the same suit. As for the winds, the order goes east, south, west, north. For the dragons, it goes white, green, then red. If the indicator is last in the sequence, like 9, north, or red, then the Dora will be the first in the sequence. So 9 will go to 1, north will go to east, and red will be white. Another type of Dora is the red 5s. These are the 5 tiles that have their entire suits in red. Just like the other Dora, as long as you have them in your hand, they will give you extra points. Also note that if the Dora indicator is a 4, then the red 5s will be worth double. I also wanted to point out a little thing about these tiles. The game likes to give a little visual for them, so you'll see them have a little shine every so often. Now that we've covered the basics of scoring, let's look at the ways that you can block yourself from actually winning. The first condition is called a Noyaku. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It just means you don't have a Yaku in your hand. And as mentioned earlier in the video, you need Yaku to add value to your hand and call for the win. One of the ways you can Noyaku yourself is if you have terminals or wind tiles that do not pertain to your seat or table and your hand is open. Dragons can also Noyaku you if you try to use them as a pair in an all-simple hand. You might as well try to get the Dragon Yaku at that point. You just need one, and hopefully the other two haven't been discarded yet. A thing to remember is that if you pawn or chi terminal or non-relevant wind tiles, you're committing yourself to using them and you won't be able to discard them. Also, you'll be opening your hand, which means the fully concealed hand, a hand that would allow you to use any tile combination without restriction, is no longer available to you. Hopefully you already have or working towards another Yaku. The next condition is Furiten. Now Furiten is not as bad as Noyaku. This just restricts you from taking a tile from another player for a win. So you have to draw the winning tile. The most common way to Furiten is when you discard a tile that could have been used for a set. For example, I have the 5 and 6 character here and need the 4 and 7 character to complete my hand. However, because I've discarded the 4 character earlier, I can no longer take the 4 or 7 character from another player. I will need to draw one of them, which I ultimately did. Finally, we've come to ending the round. Now, while making your hand, there is a condition known as Tenpai. This means your hand only needs one tile to win. From here, the player can make one of 2 calls once they get the winning tiles: Tsumo or Ron. Tsumo is when you draw your winning tile. Ron is when a player discards your winning tile. On a closed hand, reaching Tenpai will allow you to call Richi. When Richi is called, the game will highlight the tiles you need to discard. From this point, the game will automatically discard any tile you don't need. It will pause to let you know that if you want a Ron or Tsumo, or skip them for whatever reason. I don't know why you would want to do this, but this is probably a strategy or a tactic that's way too advanced for my head. With an open hand, you won't get the same help. However, when you draw a tile that would put you in Tenpai, you can mouse over your other tiles during the discard phase, and the tiles that you can discard for the Tenpai will show the tiles you need to win. From here, I would normally use the automation options on the left side of the screen and choose what I want the game to automatically do. Kinda like a fake Richi mode. Finally, if no one wins and all 70 tiles have been drawn, the game ends. If players at this point were in Tenpai, those players would still get points even if they have Noyaku or Furiten. So it wasn't a total loss. That's about it. So this was my tutorial for Mahjong. Hopefully now you'll be able to play your first game with a little less confusion than before. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and I hope this video helped you out a little. If you liked the video and found it helpful, please give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and if you want to see live gameplay of me playing Mahjong or any other games, come check out my Twitch. Again, I'm Phoenix, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again in my next video.